The Genius, a short story by Robin Martel. Copyright 2013 by Robin Martel. This performance is copyrighted 2013 by Robin Martel. The Genius. Wendell sat at his Cyber X9000 computer terminal coding like a madman. Wendell was a man on a mission, and he was wielding serious horsepower. No puny laptops for Wendell. His network of servers occupied a whole room, and he could tap into the biggest computers in the world if he needed to. Wendell lived on pizza, Skittles, and Coke. And given his sedentary lifestyle and the extra-large pizzas he consumed every day, Wendell should have weighed a ton, but he didn't. Wendell was as thin as a coffee stirrer. He wouldn't have looked out of place with the Jews in Auschwitz, being all skin and bone and dressed the way he did. Of course, he wasn't from Auschwitz, so his lack of weight gain had to have been from some other cause. Maybe it was genetic. Maybe he burned tremendous calories keeping up his brain power. He was an overachiever, that was certain, and Jews are known for overachieving. But if he was a Jew, he never said. You couldn't tell it by his house, his clothes or his car, he didn't own one, or the glasses he wore that had thick lenses and a broken frame that Wendell had repaired with a spring from a weed whacker. If you accused him of fixing his glasses with a paperclip, he would have been offended. He didn't appreciate being stereotyped that way. You couldn't tell it, but Wendell was a gillionaire. Wendell had invested in the stock market. Well, not Wendell himself, mind you. Wendell had coded an artificial intelligent virtual stock trading program that made investments for him, and that program was ruthless. The virtual stock trader program had sold short thousands of shares of major stocks in markets around the world, and the stock market crash of 2008 had made Wendell fabulously wealthy, which was a great annoyance to Wendell. Accumulating that amount of money attracted the attention of investment advisors, charity fundraisers, and gold-digging women, and the SEC, who was investigating whether Wendell's virtual stock trading program had caused the stock market to crash in the first place. Wendell didn't know the answer to that question. What the program did after Wendell launched it was the program's own business. After he'd gotten the virtual stock trader program up and running on its own, Wendell had lost all interest in it. He'd conquered that intellectual challenge, and it was time to move on. Wendell had gotten rid of all the money, but the supercomputing facility at CERTA had come on the market due to budget cuts resulting from the stock market crash, and Wendell wanted it. Wendell needed to hold on to some of the money to purchase the CERTA facility, so he needed to find another way to get rid of all those annoying people who were trying to meet him, which was another intellectual challenge that Wendell solved without breaking a sweat by writing a virtual Wendell program to stand in for him. And when virtual Wendell could handle all the nasty people issues by itself, real Wendell would move on to other things. Except there was one very persistent woman who wanted to meet the real Wendell. Everyone else had been bought off with a soapy letter or a check written by a virtual Wendell, but this woman returned the checks and insisted on speaking face-to-face with the real Wendell. Virtual Wendell did the best it could in writing bigger and bigger checks and soapier letters. The last letter claimed that Wendell wasn't available because he had to care for his dear dying mother 24/7. The persistent woman, Rebecca something, replied that she was a hospice nurse. Rebecca something said that she wanted more than anything to stand by Wendell and help him and his mom through this terrible ordeal. So could she please come to his house? In later emails, Rebecca something praised Wendell and said that she would be proud to be married to such a noble, generous man, even if he did have a 13-inch goiter on his neck. Wendell had done too good a job in writing Virtual Wendell, and Rebecca Something had fallen in love with him. What a predicament. Could the greatest technical mind in the world defeat true love's quest to meet him and marry him? Wendell detected through the internet that Rebecca Something was getting close to tracking him down. She was headed towards Richland, Washington, the town where he lived, and Rebecca Something was closing in fast. Rebecca Something sent photographs of herself and love poems, and she had even written and recorded a song for Wendell. Rebecca Something had baked Toll House cookies for Wendell, and she demanded to know where he lived so she could deliver them in person. Virtual Wendell made the mistake of telling Rebecca Something that Wendell didn't like cookies and he only ate extra large, double supreme, everything on them brick oven pizzas. Rebecca Something replied that she loved extra large, double supreme, everything on them brick oven pizzas too, and she would build a brick oven herself, and every day she would bake Wendell an extra large, double supreme, everything on it brick oven pizza, Chicago style, with the cheese on top. This offer nearly brought Wendell to tears. He'd been begging his pizza supplier to make his pizza Chicago style for months and months, but every time the pizza came sliding in under the door, Wendell had been disappointed. The cheese was underneath the other toppings. Wendell was losing it. He nearly wanted to meet this woman. Never mind the naked pictures she sent of herself. The thought of getting an extra large double supreme everything on it brick oven pizza Chicago style with the cheese on top every day nearly caused Wendell to consider having a relationship with this woman. Wendell had to take a cold shower. Over the past weeks, Wendell had taken a lot of cold showers. He continued to eat his pizzas all right, but he could no longer keep them down. His hair started falling out, and Wendell became a desperate, emaciated creature, fighting and coding with all his might, night and day, to put off the day of reckoning when he would be forced to meet this Rebecca Something. Wendell took heart when he looked in the mirror, knowing that he looked nothing like the pictures that Virtual Wendell had sent to Rebecca Something. The relationship would be a short one. Wendell fantasized beautiful Rebecca Something arriving at his door, taking one look at him, dropping the pizza, and fleeing in horror. Wendell would pick up the pizza, and then Wendell would have a truly sensual experience eating an extra large, double supreme, everything on it, brick oven pizza Chicago style with the cheese on top, all by himself. This was the closest thing to an orgasm Wendell had ever experienced, and he fought with himself to keep coding through the sensual spasms that were coursing through his body. Wendell forged an email from the Richland, Washington City Commissioner directing that street signs be changed, maps be redrawn, that all traffic in the city must be halted. He went on Craigslist and hired a street gang to remove the numbers from all the houses on his street. Wendell did everything he could think of to deflect this female force of nature, but she kept coming like a hurricane on a path to destroy his world. In his last stand at the Alamo, Wendell disabled his doorbell by breaking a hole in his wall and cutting some wires. It was a foolish gesture, he knew it, but what the heck, maybe God would intervene if Wendell did everything he could to stop this woman. Wendell would know that God had forsaken him if Rebecca Something knocked at the door. Rebecca Something would knock, and then she would pound on the door, and then she would try to pick the lock. And when that failed, she would break the door down, and all would be lost. He knew it. "Hi, Wendell." Wendell was shaken from his reverie. He spun around in his chair and then froze like a deer in the headlights. His breath and pulse fast and shallow. Wendell experienced tunnel vision. He shook like a frightened rabbit ready to spring away, but where would he go? He couldn't go outside. He could never do that. The back door was open, so I came in. "Please," Wendell pleaded. "Oh, sure." Rebecca Something sat down on the floor beside Wendell and opened the pizza box, and there it was. the perfect pizza. Wendell was lost, and he knew it. He was going to have a conversation with this woman. He was going to have verbal intercourse. He'd never been with a woman in that way, and he prayed that she would be gentle. He tore a slice of pizza, brought it to his mouth, and saw that Rebecca something was eating pizza too. His eyes started to focus, then his eyes met hers. "Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. I don't look a thing like my picture. I hope you can forgive me," she said with her mouth full. For Wendell, it was like looking in the mirror at a female version of himself. The glasses, the nose, the clothes, everything. "I don't really want to have sex with you, but I promised, and I will if you insist, but honestly, I just want you to help me with some code I'm writing." "Code?" "My mom says I need a boyfriend, so I want to create a virtual boyfriend to get her off my case. I really don't have time for a boyfriend." "I know what you mean. I can't seem to get the boyfriend program to take over and manage by itself. Since you've already perfected that algorithm, I was hoping that you would help me. I hope you're not too disappointed. I'm a big fan of yours. I follow all your program launches." "You made me pizza?" "Gosh, no. I'm sorry. That was a lie, too. I didn't make the pizza. I ordered it from Pizza Bob's down on Thayer. I'll give you the number. Pizza Bob's isn't kosher, though. You're not Jewish, are you?" "No. Neither am I. Will you help me with my program? What you need is my little autonomously operating artificial intelligence plugin, or AOIP. I'll give it to you. Just add AOIP to your program and follow the spec for the interface." "You wrote that as a plugin?" "I'm a really great programmer, aren't I?" "The best." "Say, I'm a programmer and you're a programmer." "Yes." "Would you like to keep in touch with me?" "Not really. Do I have to?" The end. The Genius and this recording, read by Robin Martel, are both copyrighted 2013 by Robin Martel.